Hey yo, peace, family. Welcome back to Flesh of the Gods. Y'all remember Daniel Barnett, right? AKA the tent slasher. What's wrong with this dude out there slashing homeless people tents, man? Come on now. If you think that was the best way to help them, something is definitely wrong. So yeah, let's tap into Daniel Barnett, AKA the tent slasher. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, tap in, and share with a friend. Let's get it, family.
It's people's ain't no tent, bro.
No, don't start nobody,
It's people's ain't no tent while you doing that. It's people's ain't no tent. Just how you did, just how they killed Kaniz out here. He sliced it and cut it. He slicing and cut it. He slicing and cut it, folks.
Nah, bro. Thank you.
He slicing and cutting people's tents up.
Get the tents out of the street. I'm out your hair. It's a done deal. Simple.
You work for the city of Atlanta?
Like
No,
he
I don't
got
work
death
for the
on
city of
him.
He don't work for the city of Atlanta. He's a citizen. He's just like us. But he's inside of the house. We outside. So he's doing this like just personally doing it.
I done gave y'all a gang of opportunities.
But who?
Provided y'all resources.
What?
Y'all still in the middle of the street. Get out the middle of the street. Homes, if you want to keep your tent. Take a picture of this tag.
Is compliant and stable with her treatment and medication. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons and firearms. Thank you.
Judge,
Yes?
am I able to speak?
No, that's it. Thank you. Very good. Please confer with Mr. McLean, the defense counsel, and with Miss, Miss Cecilia? Yeah, Johnson, if you all want to go over the details. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on, Daniel Barnett is case number 25CR1288G, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property.
Uh-oh, who we got right there? There go your boy Melnick out here representing the tent slasher.
And this is 2 counts of that particular charge plus reckless conduct from March 6, 2025. Mr. Barnett has been advised of his right to remain silent, and his attorney is Mr. Johnathan Melnick. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
13. Got an open case in Judge Corner Cell, 22 SC 184-542. Stalking, 4 counts of ag stalking. And they placed a judicial hold. 2022 stalking that was dismissed out of Cobb County. 2013 obstruction conviction.
All right. Who's prosecuting? Ms. Mokeke?
That would be me, Your Honor. This is an incident stemming from March 6th at Old Wheat Street in Atlanta. Officers responded to the location on the 7th after receiving a 911 call about a dispute between a group of homeless individuals living on Old Wheat Street and an alleged security personnel who was working for a construction site in the area. Officers arrived at the location and they met with the superintendent of Sovereign Cooper Construction, who told them that they are in the process of building an apartment in the location, and so they hired third-party security company Divine Authority Agency to secure the construction site after hours. Officers then made contact with multiple homeless victims who all reported that a security guard by the name of Da Vinci, later identified as the defendant, had routinely been harassing them, threatening them, and intentionally damaging their belongings for the past 2 weeks. A victim by the name of Shanika Dansby showed officers 3 separate videos of the most recent incident from the 6th. In one of them, you can clearly see the defendant yelling and using a blade to cut through multiple tents occupied by the individuals who were there. In another video, you can see the defendant with what appears to be a long gun on his side. It should be noted that the victim stated that he didn't point the gun at anyone at that time. He just had it on his person. A victim by the name of Letitia Morris expressed that she was afraid because she was afraid that the blade would cut her or someone else because she was actually inside of the tent while the defendant was using that blade to cut into those tents. Victims Roy McLeod and Anthony Atwater reported that 2 weeks prior, an unknown person had shot multiple rounds towards the area where the tents were located, with some of those rounds actually putting holes in the sides of the tent. The shots did come from the direction of the construction site, and the parties believe that it was the defendant who shot the gun because he had repeatedly yelled at them that he had a gun and he wasn't afraid to use it. In one of the videos showed to officers, you can hear the defendant saying a similar phrase that, he has a gun and he's not afraid to use that weapon. The victim stated that they didn't call 911 at the time because they were, of course, afraid, and they also didn't think the police would be able to do anything to help. A woman by the name of Angela Pitts donated 8 of those tents to the individuals for community use, for anyone in that community to use those tents, and she states that all 8 of those tents were in fact damaged. 3 of the victims were able to identify the defendant in a lineup. The state's recommendation for Mr. Barnett is going to be based on the incredibly concerning facts of this case, as well as the defendant's history, which, as you heard, does include that open aggravated stalking for stalking his ex-girlfriend for several months. So given his history, we can see this is not the first time he's exhibited this type of concerning and threatening behavior to an individual. There are, of course, concerns for the safety and well-being of the general public. Thankfully, in this incident, no one was hurt, but that could easily have not been the case. I will also note that he was out on bond for that ag stalking, and there has been a motion to revoke that bond that has been filed by the DA's office. Our office spoke with Ms. Pitts, the woman who had provided those tents for the individuals, and she stated that the defendant destroyed all of them, as she stated in the report, and that some people have fortunately pitched in to help, and that those tents have thankfully been replaced. The state's recommendation is a $100,000 surety bond, given the severity of what happened here. No further contact with any of the victims involved. There are multiple victims. I will send all those names to Ms. Bridgewater. Stay away from that incident location. Surrender all firearms that are in his possession. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol. The BHET might be appropriate for this defendant, but I will leave that to his defense counsel. And I can list out those names right now if you want, Your Honor.
You may.
The victims that he is to have no contact with are Shanika Dansby, Eric Scott, Shanika
Dansby, Eric Scott,
Letitia Morris, Marvin Seals, Rodney Johnson, Roy McLeod, Anthony Atwater, and Miss Angela Pitts.
Any of these individuals associated with the Sovereign Construction Company?
No, Your Honor. These are all either victims or witnesses of the incident, and then Miss Angela Pitts is, of course, the individual who provided those tents.
Okay. Mr. Melnick?
Sorry, Judge. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Judge, I think that is a ridiculously high bond recommendation given the nature of these charges. We are not here to try this case, but what I will say is that Mr. Barnett absolutely was hired by a construction company, and I have the evidence that I can show to the solicitor's office to show that this incident took place on the property where the construction company had specifically asked him to engage in security to secure the property in question. I think the last conviction that we heard about from pretrial was from 2013. I will say there has been a history involving these stalking allegations. While Mr. Hightower characterized that as a dismissal from Cobb County involving these individuals that the solicitor, Ms. Mulcahy, had mentioned, it was not a dismissal, it was an acquittal after a jury trial. Mr. Barnett was found not guilty of the alleged stalking in Cobb County. There is not a pretrial hold or a judicial hold on Mr. Barnett right now. Obviously, I know this is a case that has drawn some public consternation. Unfortunately, not all the facts and circumstances are being revealed and discussed. And I know, like I said, we're not here to try the case, but what Mr. Barnett was engaged in doing was done at the behest of a number of the people that actually were residing at this encampment. There were apparently some people that were engaged in activities that the other homeless individuals disapproved of. And that was why Mr. Barnett was trying to clear out some of the area and some of those individuals from this area.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that at all. That is probably one of the vaguest sentences I've heard all day.
So basically, there were some homeless people who said there are other guys here, other people here who are bothering us. We want you to get rid of them. And so Mr. Barnett was just commenting.
People who used Mr. Barnett.
It's the same security people. Mr. Barnett was hired as security for the construction company.
But he's not security for the homeless people.
He is not security for the homeless people. That's correct.
But you're telling me that these unidentified homeless people used him as a strong arm to get rid of some other problematic homeless people?
Judge, I was retained on this case 24 hours ago. Obviously, I can't provide you names, okay? And this is a case that's still under investigation. But Mr. Barnett was not willfully engaged in what he perceived to be the destruction of property with criminal intent. He was doing what other people had asked him to do.
And Your Honor, that open case that we mentioned, that aggravated stalking, is 22 SC.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, what I'm asking you to do is grant a total bond in the amount of $10,000 and just make it a condition of his bond that he stay away from the location. He doesn't want to go back to work for these people with the situation arising to the level that it has. And I did want to say, it sounds, obviously whenever you hear about shots being fired, that's very concerning.
Oh, no,
He adamantly denies that. He denies that that is ever anything that he did. And what it sounds like from the recitation of facts that was provided by the state is that nobody can identify him as having ever shot a gun. But he will agree also as a condition of bond not to possess any firearms and to turn in any firearms that don't exist in the first place over to the state.
Okay.
The alleged use of a firearm is probably the fifth or sixth troubling factor in a litany of factors that I'm considering. On count one, criminal trespass, damage to property is going to be $20,000. Count two is $20,000. Count three is going to be $20,000. This is a $60,000 surety bond. No further contact with Roy McLeod, Shanika Dansby, Eric Scott, Letitia Morris. I think the next person is Morris Fields, Rodney Johnson, Anthony Atwater, and Angela Pitts. Yeah. He is to stay away from all property where the Sovereign Cooper Construction Company operates. He's to not possess any weapons, no firearms. If he owns or possesses any firearms, they have to be surrendered to the authorities for destruction. He's not allowed to have them on his person, on his, in any vehicle he occupies, anywhere near him, or even in his residence. He does have that open 22 SC case, and yes, the DA's office did file a motion to revoke his bond, so that is pending right now. His next court date is going to be March 25th. And of course, he needs to stay 500 yards away from the property known as Old Wheat Street and Fort Street. So he cannot be anywhere near that intersection, 500 yards away.
Your Honor.
Judge,
Your Honor.
When I looked, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
I didn't interrupt whoever was talking.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Me. If you don't mind, please. We have Investigator Sauce here. She wanted to speak with you, Your Honor, really quick about something she wanted to say.
I'm sorry about what?
How you doing, Judge? The city.
Investigator, could you give me a moment, please? Just one moment. Thank you. No problem. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Melnick. What do you want to say?
When I looked his case up on the Clerk of Court's website, it said it was assigned to Judge Mather. So is that March 25th day?
No, March 25th is going to be on the SAP calendar, probably with Judge Morrow.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right. Investigator, sorry, did you want us to add anything?
Yes, ma'am. The city is asking that one of the conditions.
Could I have you under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
The city is asking that one of the conditions of the bond be that he also stay. They're requesting that he stay about 1,000 feet away from the site of the encampment and the church.
What is that address?
I know it's Ebenezer Baptist Church. I'm not sure. It sits right in front of Wheat Street, though.
Okay, he's required to stay 500 yards away. So I'm sorry, guys, I do metric. So 1 yard is 3 feet. So what's that? 15,000 feet?
Yeah.
I put it with you. Okay, so yeah, he's going to be required to stay 500 yards away. That's the length of 5 football fields.
Copy
And
that.
it includes the Ebenezer Church. Yeah, he cannot be anywhere near that location.
Copy that. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Melnick, next court date is March 25th. Unless he bonds out, then it'll be further noticed. Thank you. Okay, so...
Peace and blessings. Just want to respond because, you know, I'm getting a ton of death threats. So let me just go ahead and respond to some of these folks that are interested in what was going on with the encampment, okay? First and foremost, our organization is safe. It's Sweet Auburn Frontline Enforcement. We provide public safety, beautification, and nonprofit auditing and accountability for the projects that they get funded for. SAFE has been retained in order to clean up this area. The city of Atlanta had tried to remove the encampment previously. They killed somebody, and it's been no action ever since. In addition to that, this encampment's been there for 3 years. But let's get into how this whole situation on March 6th came about. I was driving by, we saw a fire. The rest of this stuff is detailed in my response, which is on the website, but long story short was that we put out a fire. Along the process, the tent walls and abandoned property that's left in the middle of this public street has been deemed as debris. No one's in these tents, y'all. I understand what y'all are saying, but no one's in these tents. And I'm back there almost like every other day. And I have videos and receipts. All this is on the website. The tent walls were removed so that when the city comes through and removes the tents, if there's someone laying down in there, the people can see it. That's it. You guys are being tricked. And it's unfortunate. But I'm going to tell you why you guys are being tricked. Because the nonprofits in the area get millions of dollars for this encampment being there. And I like to refer to it as pimping the poor, specifically pimping the black poor. Because in other areas like Midtown and Buckhead, this type of activity doesn't exist. So this is what they do. Like, for an example, Cornelius Taylor in the moratorium that passed. Did you know that Hope Atlanta got $1 million for that? No, you didn't. You didn't hear about it. That's what the rah-rah is about. These guys are making millions of dollars by keeping the encampments in black areas. So we're actually doing the work to clean it up, which is a threat to how these guys get money. For an example, I'll spare it. It's all on the website with video and receipts. So I definitely appreciate all the folks that want to decide they want to hit me up with death threats. Everyone who's showing all this outrage will do me a favor. After the press release, come and help us clean up the area. If you feel so passionate about it, come do something about it. We're out here doing the work. I'm asking you for your help, okay? You can go to joinsafe.org and you can hit clean, and you can go to the volunteer form and you can become a volunteer, and you'll see what we're doing. If you watch the videos, I'm the one who's providing them the help. So for everyone who's saying all this negative stuff about the work that's being done, we're black people cleaning up a black neighborhood that Martin Luther King used to walk the streets in. We're doing our own work. And what it is that the poverty pimps are trying their best to get you to think I'm the bad guy because I'm about to expose them in the next 2 weeks.